Radhika actress. Yes. Radhika, she married several people. Three to four marriages. Waste. Ah. Sarath Kumar also he already married her. We have two kids, two girls, two brother Varalakshmi. Again, why he married her? The might corrupt person. Radhika also was stupid. They already have a daughter, everything. Again and again, going marrying people. For fucking, they are doing nothing else. They want fucking. When you fucking, they are doing marriage. So I'm marrying you.
Hi, good morning. So can you please confirm my voice is audible or not?
Yes, sir.
Hearing the screen. Yeah, sorry for delay. So some network connectivity issues are there. So delayed. Okay, hope you are able to see my screen also.
Yes, sir.
So actually, we are discussing about data warehousing concepts. So as part of yesterday's session, we discussed about what is star schema, and we discussed about what is snowflake schema. And after that, we started discussing about different types of dimensional tables. So in this, we discussed about what is the conformal dimensional table, and we discussed about what is junk dimensional table. After that, we discussed about slowly changing dimensional tables. As part of slowly changing dimensional tables, we discussed about type 1 SCD, and we discussed about type 2 SCD, and we need to discuss about type 3 SCD. Okay, so within the SCD, we are having three types. What is the type 1 SCD? If we are capturing only current data. If you are going to capture only the current data into the slowly changing dimensional table, such kind of table simply we can able to call it as a type 1 slowly changing dimensional tables. Now, if you are going to capture current data and also historical data, current data plus historical data, then such kind of tables we can able to call it as nothing but type 2 slowly changing dimensional table. In the type 2 slowly changing dimensional table, how we are going to differentiate the current records and old records? First option, by using flag indicator column, otherwise by using versioning column, otherwise by using start date and end date columns. So by using any one of the approach, we can able to differentiate what is the current record and what is the historical record. As part of end date, what is the default value we are going to provide? We are giving it as a 9999 12 31. That is the default value we are giving. If it is an active record, if it is an inactive record, we are going to close the record by using the previous date. So with that, we are going to maintain the start date and end date. So in the type 2, to differentiate current records and historical records, we are going to maintain either flag indicator column. In the flag indicator column, what values we are going to maintain? Y or N. What about versioning? 1 or 0. Coming to start date and end date, in the end date column, we are giving the value as a simply 998 1231 if it is an active record. If it is inactive record, we are going to give it as a normal date. That is the way we are going to differentiate what is the current record and historical record in the type 2 slowly changing dimensional table. In the type 2 slowly changing dimensional table, we discussed about one more concept called as a surrogate key. Now you try to give the answer. What is the purpose of surrogate key? Can someone try to give the answer? What is the purpose of surrogate key?
To exclude the duplicates.
Yes, in type 2 SCD, because of maintaining historical data, we will get duplicate records. To handle duplicate records, we will introduce a new column. That column we can call it as surrogate key. And in this surrogate key, what kind of data we are going to populate? We will populate all the sequence values. So we are going to populate all the sequence values on top of your surrogate key. So all these are the topics we covered as part of our yesterday's session. What is the junk dimensional table? In a dimensional table, if you are going to maintain all the junk values or indicator values, such kind of tables we can call it as junk dimensional tables. What about the conformal dimensional table? Can someone please try to give the answer? What is the conformal dimensional tables?
It's a dimension table having the one more dimension.
If two fact tables are going to have
Okay,
relationships
relationship.
with
Yeah.
same dimensional table, such kind of dimensional tables we can call it as conformal dimensional tables. So these are all the topics we covered as part of our yesterday's session. Now today we'll continue with the other topics only. So next one, we need to discuss about the type 3 SCD. So in the SCD tables, what we are doing here, we are capturing all the changes which are happening on top of your source system indirectly on top of the ODS, whatever the data we are getting or whatever the changes are happening on top of your ODS system. We are capturing all the changes into the table called as a slowly changing dimensional table. Type 1 is going to contain only the current data. Type 2 is going to contain the current data plus historical data. Now we need to understand what is the purpose of the type 3 SCD. In the type 3 SCD, what we are going to do here is we are going to maintain only partial historical data. So what is going to happen in the type 3 SCD? Here we are going to maintain the partial historical data. We are not going to maintain the complete historical data. We are going to maintain the historical data, but instead of maintaining the complete historical data, we are going to maintain the only partial historical data. Whenever we are capturing only the partial historical data into the slowly changing dimensional table, such kind of tables only simply we can able to call it as a type 3 slowly changing dimensional table. But what is the meaning of partial historical data? It's very simple. As part of yesterday's example, we are discussing EMP underscore dimensional table. It is having EAD column, ENAME column, and in yesterday's example, we are having the location column. Now here what we'll do is we are going to maintain columns like this only. We are going to maintain current location and we are going to maintain previous location. Or we'll try to see this example in the Excel sheet. So here, so see, we are going to have the EAD column and ENAME column. After that, we are going to see the current location column and we are going to have the previous location column. Indirectly for location column, we are going to maintain the two extra columns on top of our type 3 slowly changing dimensional table. One is for current location, one is for the previous location. Now, for example, coming to day 1, this employee ID 1 location is Hyderabad location. So we are going to load the data like this. 1A. Current location is Hyderabad. Now tell me, coming to day 1, do we know what is the previous location of employee ID 1 on day 1? First time he is joining into my company, which is nothing but he don't have any kind of previous location. For that reason, in this table, what we'll do here, in this previous location column, just we are going to maintain the value as a null value. Because first day he is joining into my company, his current location is Hyderabad. We don't know about the previous location of the employee ID 1. For that reason, in the previous location, we are going to maintain the value called as a null value. Now coming to second day, for example, this employee transferring from Hyderabad to Chennai location. Then in the ODS system, you are getting the data. You are loading the data into the staging database. From the staging database, we are loading the data into our data warehouse system in the type 3 slowly changing dimensional table. Now what we are discussing in the type 3 slowly changing dimensional table, we are going to maintain the partial historical data, which is nothing but on day 1, we are going to have the record like this. Now coming to day 2, this record will change like this. Just I'm giving it in the red color. This record will become as employee ID 1 employee name A. Now what is the current location on the day 2? Current location is Chennai. Now what is the previous location? On day 1 he joined in the Hyderabad location. On day 1 Hyderabad is a current location, but coming to day 2 what is happening here? Hyderabad is going to become as a previous location. Current location is nothing but our Chennai location. This is the way we are going to maintain the data on top of your data warehouse system on the day 2 only. Now you tell me, coming to day 2 in this table for employee ID 1, we are going to have the 2 records or we are going to have the only 1 record? On day 2 in this employee dimensional table for employee ID 1, we are going to have the single record or we are going to have the 2 records? We are going to have the
Single
only
record.
single record only. So this record indirectly for updating this record we are updating. So we are updating this record with these values. Don't get the confusion. Only for representation, I am keeping this value as is, but I am giving this value in the red color, which is nothing but your current location is converting from Hyderabad to Chennai. Your previous location is becoming as a Hyderabad. Now this is for day 2. Now if you see the day 3, again this employee transferring from, for example, from Chennai to Vizag. Now you tell me, coming to day 3, what is going to happen? We are loading data from the ODS to staging and staging to our data warehouse system. In the data warehouse system, on the day 3, what operation we are going to perform? Employee ID 1, employee name is A. Now tell me what is the current location? On day 3, Vizag is the current location. What is the previous location?
Chennai.
Now previous location is becoming as a Chennai, and simply we are not going to maintain this record in this table. Now coming to day 3, we are going to maintain the data like this. Now you tell me, are we maintaining historical data or not in this record? We are having the current location, at the same time we are going to maintain the previous location also. But tell me, we are maintaining only the partial historical data or we are maintaining the complete historical data?
Partial historical.
We are maintaining only the previous location. We are not maintaining the complete historical data, because if you want to maintain the complete historical data, we need to have current location, previous location, previous location, which is nothing but Hyderabad. But in this table, we are going to have the only 1 record. In this record, we are going to maintain only the current location plus only the previous location. Indirectly, we are going to maintain the historical data. But instead of maintaining the complete historical data, we are going to maintain the only partial historical data by depending on the client requirement. In such kind of situation, those tables we can able to call it as nothing but type 3 slowly changing dimensional tables. In the same way you try to give the answer. What about day 4? Coming to day 4 in the ODS, we are getting the record like this. And now you tell me, coming to day 4, what will happen? Employee ID 1, employee name A. Now what is the current location? It's Bhubaneswar. DH is nothing but Bhubaneswar. Now what is the previous location? It's nothing but Vizag. And this record we are not maintaining in this table. This is the way at any point of time for employee ID 1, we are going to have the single record. That single record is going to contain the only current location plus only the previous location, which is nothing but we are maintaining only the partial historical data. Whenever we are going to maintain only the partial historical data, such kind of slowly changing dimensional table, we can able to call it as a type 3 SCD tables or type 3 slowly changing dimensional tables. Okay, but out of type 1, type 2, type 3, in real time, most of the times we are going to work on the type 2 only. But in very rarely or in very some of the projects, we can able to see the type 1 and type 3 also. That's the reason just we are discussing about all these kind of the dimensional tables. Type 1, type 2, type 3. Type 1 only the current data. Type 2 current plus complete historical data. But coming to type 3, we are going to maintain the partial historical data. This is the way we need to understand what all are the different types of slowly changing dimensional tables we are having. Okay. Any questions up to here? Please ask me. Now tell me, what is the main purpose of the slowly changing dimensional table? That is the main concept, right? What is the purpose of the slowly changing dimensional tables? To capture
Maintaining the
all
history.
not for maintaining the history, to capture all the changes which are happening on the ODS system, and whatever the changes are happening on the ODS, day 1 to day 2, day 2 to day 3, day 2 to day 4, we are capturing all these kind of changes into our one dimensional table in the data warehouse system. That dimensional table we are calling it as a slowly changing dimensional table. As part of capturing, if we are capturing only current data, that we are calling it as a type 1. If we are capturing current plus complete historical data, that we can call it as a type 2. If we are capturing only the partial historical data, such kind of dimensional tables only we can able to call it as a type 3 slowly changing dimensional table. This is the way we need to understand what all are the different types of dimensional tables we are having in the dimensional modeling. Okay. Now you try to give the answer where we are following this dimensional modeling. In which kind of projects we are
Analysis
following
projects.
dimensional modeling?
Data warehouse.
We can able to say simply in our data
Data
warehousing
warehouse analysis.
projects. Okay. Now what is the meaning of dimensional modeling? Yesterday I told you, because of discussing new topics, don't forget about the previous topics. And what's the dimensional modeling? In the dimensional modeling, we are going to have the centralized fact table, which is surrounded by
all the dimension.
multiple dimensional tables. And what is the meaning of fact? It's a measurable value which we are using for the purpose of doing the analysis. What is the dimension? It's a descriptive data, or we can able to call it as, to define fact value, we are going to use dimensions. In the same way, what is the fact table? If a table is going to contain all the fact values, that we can able to call it as a fact table. What is the dimensional table? If a table is going to contain all the descriptive data or dimensional values, such kind of tables we can able to call it as a dimensional table. Because of discussing new topics, don't forget about the previous topics, and everything is important from the real time perspective. Okay. Now, so far we discussed about the types of the dimensional tables, and in the same way, we can able to see different types of fact tables also. So far we are discussing about the types of dimensional tables. In the same way, we are having the different types of the fact tables, which we can able to call it as, first type of fact table is cumulative fact table. And second type of fact table we can able to call it as a snapshot fact table. And third type of fact table we can able to call it as factless fact table. So like this, we are going to see the three different types of fact tables in our dimensional modeling. So far, we discussed about the types of the dimensional tables. Now we need to understand what are the different types of the fact tables we are having. One is the cumulative fact table. Next one is the snapshot fact table, and other one is the factless fact table. We'll go one by one. Cumulative fact table is nothing but, in a fact table, if we are going to maintain continuous historical data, such kind of fact tables we can call it as cumulative fact tables. Okay, so in a fact table, if we are going to maintain the continuous historical data, such kind of fact table, simply we can able to call it as a cumulative fact tables. And but what is the meaning of continuous historical data? For example, I'm having the sales fact table. In this table, in 2018 year, we loaded the data for all the 2018 records. For example, we loaded 10K records. Now coming to 2019, again we are maintaining 10K records. 2020, for example, we are maintaining 15K records. And 2021, we are maintaining, for example, 30K records. And 2022, we are maintaining, for example, 35K records. And 2023, for example, we are maintaining 40K records. Now tell me, in this table, so from in the 2018 we started the project. From the beginning date of the project, we are going to maintain the historical data for all the continuous years. And 2018 we are having complete data. 2019 we are having data for 19 plus 18. Coming to 20, we are having data for 20 plus 19 plus 18 year. Now coming to 2023, what we are having? We are having data for 23, 22, 21, 20, 19 and 18. Indirectly, we are maintaining continuous historical data, or we can able to call it as, we are maintaining complete historical data on top of your fact table. Whenever we are going to maintain complete historical data on top of your fact table, such kind of fact table, simply we can able to call it as a cumulative fact tables. Okay. Now in the same way, based on this understanding, you try to give the answer. Any guesses what is the meaning of the snapshot fact table? I know we didn't discuss about this topic, but any guesses from your side?
Only this year and previous year.
Yeah, we can able to say, in a fact table, if we are going to maintain particular period of historical data by depending on client requirement. By depending on client requirement, if we are going to maintain only particular period of historical data, such kind of fact tables we can call it as snapshot fact tables. So see here in this example also what I'm telling here, in a fact table we are going to maintain the historical data, but we are going to maintain the only particular period of historical data that might be last 2 years or last 5 years or last 3 years. Okay, but tell me who will decide how many years of historical data we have to maintain in this kind of fact table? I'm saying that by depending on the client requirements, and the client will give the information to us how many years of historical data he want to see in the fact table. Either he is looking for only 2 years of data or 5 years of data or 3 years of data. By depending on the client requirement, instead of maintaining the complete historical data, we are going to maintain only particular period of historical data on top of your fact table. In such kind of situation, those fact tables we can able to call it as nothing but snapshot fact table. Now, for example, here my requirement is, client requirement is, he want to maintain only last 3 years of historical data. In the fact table, he want to maintain only last 3 years of historical data. Now, for example, 2018 we are having the 10K records, 2019 we are having 10K records, 2020 we are having the 15K records. Now you tell me, in the 2021, while loading the data for 2021 data, what operation we need to perform? Any guesses? While loading the data for 2021 data in this fact table, what operation we need to perform? As per the requirement in this table, how many years of data we have to maintain? We need to maintain data for only last 3 years only. But if you are loading data for 2021, what is going to happen? We are going to see the 4 years of data, but my client requirement is he want to see data for only last 3 years. For that reason, while performing data loading operation here, while loading data for this year, we need to delete data for 2018. So what I'm going to do here, while loading the data for 2021 data, we are going to delete data for 2018, and which is nothing but this data we are deleting. Now you tell me, once we are going to perform the 2021 data after deleting data for 2018, now how many years of data we are going to see? Only 3 years. In the same way, while loading data for 2022, now you tell me what we have to do?
We have to delete data of 2019.
Yes, while loading data for this year, we need to delete data for 2019. But why we are deleting? That is the client requirement, because as per the client requirement, at any point of time, we need to maintain data for only last 3 years of historical data. That's the reason, if you are loading the data for a particular year, what we are doing here, we are deleting the data for the previous years of data. With that, what is going to happen? At any point of time, we are going to see data for only the last 3 years only. In the same way, if you are going to load data for 2023, then what we will do here? We are going to delete data for 2020. Like that, at any point of time in this table, we are going to see data for only last 3 years of historical data. So as per the client requirement, whenever we are going to maintain particular period of historical data or particular snapshot of the historical data, such kind of fact table we can able to call it as a snapshot fact table. Now you try to give the answer here. What is the meaning of snapshot indirectly here? What is the meaning of snapshot by depending on this whole discussion? We are calling last 2 years. That last 2 years is nothing but snapshot of the complete data. Last 5 years, which is nothing but snapshot of your data. Last 3 years, which is nothing but your snapshot of your data. Indirectly, whatever the particular period we are calling here, that particular period indirectly we can able to call it as a snapshot. That's the reason these kind of fact tables we can able to call it as a snapshot fact table. Now you try to give the answer. In a fact table, if we are going to maintain the complete historical data, that kind of fact table what we can able to call? Complete historical data.
Cumulative.
That we can able to call it as a cumulative fact table. See, SCD is just dimensional table only. Again, don't get the confusion. That is the dimensional table, but here we are discussing about the fact table. My question is, in a fact table, if we are going to maintain the complete historical data, such kind of fact table we can able to call it as a cumulative fact table. Now, just I'm modifying the question. In a dimensional table, if we are going to maintain the complete historical data, that kind of dimensional table, what we can able to call? Understand the question.
Type
In
2.
a dimensional table. That is the type 2 slowly changing dimensional table. People are getting the confusion here. For that reason only, just I am asking these questions. And if we are talking about the dimensional table for complete historical data, that kind of dimensional table we can able to call it as a type 2 slowly changing dimensional table. But here we are discussing about the fact table. In a fact table, if we are going to maintain the complete historical data, such kind of fact tables only we are calling it as a cumulative fact table. In the same way, in a fact table, if we are going to maintain particular period of historical data, such kind of fact tables we can able to call it as a snapshot fact table. Now you try to give the answer. In a dimensional table, if we are going to maintain partial historical data, that kind of dimensional table, what we can able to call?
SCD type.
SCD type 3.
Type 3. Perfect answer. And
Type 3 or 1.
No, in the type 1, we are having the only current data. We are not maintaining any historical data only. In the type 3 only, we are going to maintain the partial historical data. So that's the reason whenever we are maintaining partial historical data in the dimensional table, that we are calling type 3 SCD. But when we are maintaining the partial historical data in the fact table, such kind of table simply we can able to call it as a snapshot fact table. In the same way, we need to understand about what is the factless fact table. Just try to understand. In a fact table, and before going to this, try to do the answer. What is a fact table?
Which consists of the measurable values.
Measured values.
Only
Okay.
measurable values
In
and
a
the key
fact
column.
table, or we can able to say in a table, if we are going to maintain all the measurable values, such kind of fact table we can call it as fact tables. So such kind of table we can able to call it as a fact table. But tell me, in that fact tables we are going to see the only measurable values, or we are going to see any other data also? Yesterday we discussed.
Dimensional
Dimensional
ID.
key
We
columns
have
also.
measure values and
Dimensional
also
keys.
instead of calling it as IDs, what is the name we given yesterday?
Dimensional.
We can able to call it as a dimensional keys.
Keys.
Indirectly in the fact table, we are going to maintain all the measurable values. At the same time, we are going to maintain the dimensional keys. Such kind of tables we can able to call it as nothing but fact tables. Now you try to give the answer again. What is the purpose of this dimensional keys? What is the purpose of dimensional keys which are
Maintaining the
fact table?
relationship with the
Relationship
dimension.
between the fact
Yeah,
table and the
perfect answer.
dimension
To
table.
maintain relationship between fact and
And dimension.
dimensional tables.
Table.
Okay, so these 2 points already we discussed as part of our yesterday's session. Now here what I'm telling, we are having the one type of fact table called as a factless fact table. And so simply we can able to do the statement like this. In a fact table, if we are not going to maintain any fact values. In a fact table, if we are not going to maintain any kind of fact values, such kind of fact table we can call it as factless fact table. Try to understand the statement here. In a fact table, if we are not going to maintain any kind of fact values, and indirectly if we are not going to maintain any kind of measurable values, such kind of fact tables we can able to call it as a factless fact table. Now immediately you will get the question, sir, purpose of the fact table is nothing but to maintain the fact values. But here you are saying that in a fact table, if we are not having the measurable values or fact values, the table we are calling it as a factless fact table. Now question is, if we are not having the fact values, then why we need to maintain the factless fact tables? Any guesses? What I'm telling here, in a fact table, if we are not going to maintain the measurable values, such kind of tables we are calling it as a factless fact table. That is the definition. But if we are not going to maintain the fact values, then what is the purpose of maintaining this factless fact table? Any guesses? Okay, now do you tell me, what is the intentions of the fact table? First one, to maintain measurable values. With the help of the measurable values, we are going to perform the analysis. That is one intention. What is the other intention of the fact table? What is the other intention of the fact table? Or what is the dimensional modeling? You are having the centralized table. By using the centralized table, we are going to maintain the relationship with our all the surrounding tables. And what is the centralized table? The centralized table only we are calling it as a fact table. Now indirectly you tell me, with the help of the fact table, what operations we are going to perform? One, we are maintaining all the measurable values for the purpose of doing the analysis. Second one, we are using the same fact table to maintain the relationship with our dimensional tables. Now here what I'm telling, in the fact table, if we are not going to maintain the fact values, which we are calling it as a factless fact table, question is, if we are not going to maintain the fact values, why we need to maintain the factless fact tables? We can able to say, even if we are not going to maintain fact values by using fact tables, we have to maintain relationship with dimensional tables. That is the basic concept of the dimensional modeling. Even we are not having the fact values, we have to maintain the fact table, because as part of dimensional modeling, with the help of the fact table only, we are going to maintain the relationship with our all the surrounding dimensional tables. That's the reason sometimes, or as per the requirement in the fact table, even if we are not going to maintain the fact values, we have to maintain the fact table, because to maintain the relationship with our all the surrounding dimensional tables. But if we are maintaining such kind of fact tables without having the fact values, those kind of tables only simply we can able to call it as a factless fact table. Now you try to give the answer. In this factless fact table, what kind of columns we can able to see? I am given the options here like this. One is measurable columns and dimensional key columns. Out of these two options, in the factless fact table, which kind of columns we are going to see?
Both.
Measurable columns, I can able to say no.
No.
Dimensional
Dimensional
columns
key column,
only.
I am giving it as a yes. Okay. So here, because we are calling it as a factless fact table, which is nothing but in this fact table, we are not going to maintain any kind of measurable columns or fact values. That's the reason here I'm giving it as a no. Then which columns we are going to maintain in this table? We are going to maintain the dimensional key columns, because to maintain the relationship with the surrounding dimensional tables, we have to maintain the dimensional key columns in the fact table. Indirectly, we can able to say, if your fact table is going to contain only the dimensional key columns without having any measurable values, such kind of fact tables only we can able to call it as a factless fact tables. Okay, this is the way simply we can able to understand what all are the different types of the fact tables we are going to see as part of our dimensional modeling. Now see, for example, in the requirement document, they are saying that sales fact table is snapshot fact table in this project. Only this is the line of the statement you are seeing in the requirement document. Now you tell me, do we need to ask any questions to your team lead or to your data analyst or business analyst, whomever given the requirement to you, to that person, by seeing the statement, we need to ask any questions or not? In the requirement document, they are mentioning in this project, sales fact table is going to act as a snapshot fact table. Only that is the one line statement we are seeing in the requirement document. By seeing this requirement document, you are happy, or we need to raise any kind of questions by seeing these requirements in the requirement document?
We
For the
have to
which
ask
particular
like
period?
what
How
is
many
the
years of
interval of
history
the
we need to
data to
maintain?
load.
Perfectly correct answer, all the people. So see here, whenever we are calling seeing it as a snapshot fact table, immediately what we have to think, okay, in this table we need to maintain the particular period of historical data, because already we discussed about what is the definition of the snapshot fact table. Now if you are going to work in the real time, by seeing this line, immediately you need to recap, okay, in this fact table we are going to maintain the snapshot historical data, which is nothing but particular period of historical data. But in the requirement document, they have to specify how many years of historical data we need to maintain. That's the reason what we can do here, as a data engineer, you can reach out to your team lead, or you can reach out to your data analyst or business analyst, whomever given the requirement, and you can able to write the question. You are saying that this table is a snapshot fact table, but you didn't mention how many years of historical data we have to maintain in this fact table. Can you please let me know how many years of data you are looking in this fact table? So if you are going to raise these kind of questions, what will happen? Your team lead or data analyst or business analyst can able to understand you are having the very good experience on top of our data warehousing projects. But tell me, when we can able to raise all these kind of questions in the real time projects? Once you understand all these kind of topics, then only you can able to raise these kind of questions as part of our real-time projects. That's the reason we are spending 3 to 4 days of time completely on the theoretical topics. And I know we are spending 3-4 days completely on the theory, but this theory is very important as a data engineer. If you are going to work in the real time, that's the reason we are spending 3 to 4 days of time on top of all these theoretical concepts. Okay. Any questions up to here? Please ask me.
Here mentioned as a dimensional keys, right, sir? Only key only will mention or other fields. For example, in the product ID only will mention or product name also we can maintain in the fact table. If it is
no, you tell me product name is a kind of a key column or second
no,
of a descriptive column.
it's a
It's
descriptive
a
column.
descriptive column, which is nothing but those descriptive columns we can able to see in the dimensional table. As part of given the fact table structure, they will give the only dimensional keys, which is nothing but they are going to provide the product ID, for example, location ID, time ID, only such kind of columns information they are going to provide in the fact table.
Okay. So in our use case example, you told that the result summary also is a fact table, but there we are seeing some names and all right.
Yeah, that is for only for our use case for the practical purpose. That is not a original fact table. That's a kind of a fact table because in that table we are maintaining one measurable column called as a total purchase amount. But yesterday only I told you in that table we are not maintaining any kind of dimensional keys and that use case we taken only for our understanding, only for our practical purpose. That's the reason I didn't complicate that use case by including all those kind of key columns.
Okay, so whatever IDs that only will go as a fact table, and the summarized like counts or sums and all will go to the fact table.
Exactly, perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Any
and
other
one more,
questions?
yeah, one more question, sir. In the SCD type 1 and type 2, so in the real time, the SCD type 1 will go to one zone and SCD type 2 go to one zone. Is that they will maintain like that?
No.
Or only one zone only it will
No,
go?
you tell me whatever the different types of the dimensional tables we discuss or whatever the different types of the fact tables we discuss, Randy, as part of data warehousing architecture. What is the data warehousing architecture? ODS, staging database. Then we are going to see the data warehouse. On top of that, we are going to see the views. On top of that, we are going to see the reports. In this whole data warehousing architecture, in which component we are going to see the dimensional tables and fact tables?
Data warehouse.
In the data warehouse, which is nothing but in the data warehouse component, we are going to maintain all the dimensional tables. We are going to maintain all the fact tables. And if you are calling it as a conformer dimensional table or junk dimensional table or type 1 SCD or type 2 SCD or type 3 SCD, whatever it is, those all are nothing but tables only. All those tables we are maintaining in the component called as a data warehouse component. In the same way, whatever the cumulative fact table or a snapshot fact table or factless fact table, whatever the types of the fact tables we discussed, Randy, all those tables also present in the data warehouse only, because in this data warehouse component we are going to follow the dimensional modeling. As part of dimensional modeling only, we are going to see the dimensional tables and fact tables. That's the reason don't think that dimensional tables will present in one zone and fact tables are going to present in the one more zone. All these tables are going to present in the same data warehouse component as part of our real-time projects.
Correct, sir. That not my question is that in the data warehousing only we have the two zones. For example, in our discussions, we have CZ zone and SZ zone.
Okay, now you only tell me in the CZ zone what data we are maintaining, in
the
the SZ
stage
zone what we are maintaining.
It is a staging data will load in the CZ zone.
Okay, then you tell me where we are going to maintain all the dimensional tables and fact tables.
SZ zone.
Obviously, SZ zone. Okay, whatever the different dimensional tables and fact tables we discussed, as per the batch name discussion in the previous BigQuery concepts, Andy, all the data is indirectly storing in our semantic zone.
Okay, so here in the SCD type 1 and type 2, both project can maintain that, or only one type
No,
only?
we are going to maintain any one of the dimensional tables.
Any one only.
In a project, we are going to maintain either type 1 or type 2 or type 3 by depending on the requirement. In the same project, we won't see the combination of different dimensional tables.
Okay.
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 Any other questions up here?
And this, sir.
Yeah, please.
Regarding the data warehouse architecture, here staging database is the CZ zone or?
So this is the normal data warehouse architecture. So actually, you don't include our BigQuery and this architecture. So you will get the confusion. So simply I can able to say, so coming to batch 20 people, we have discussed about the BigQuery, and coming to batch 19, we discuss about the BigQuery. So in the BigQuery, we discuss about the zones called as a CZ zone, and we called as a semantic zone. Now, actually, whatever the CZ zone we discussed, that is indirectly we can able to call it as a staging database. Whatever the SZ zone we discussed, that indirectly we can able to call it as a data warehouse as part of our data warehousing architecture. If you want to compare the BigQuery with our data warehousing architecture, CZ is nothing but indirectly equivalent to our staging database. SZ is indirectly equivalent to our data warehouse. After that, we discuss about the visualization zone, right? That visualization zone indirectly equivalent to the views. Okay, and this is applicable for only batch 19. Batch 20 people don't get any kind of confusion. In the coming classes, we'll discuss about the BigQuery.
And sir, regarding the dimensional types of dimensional tables, the confirmed one has more than 2 fact tables.
Yeah, more than two. So just for understanding, I'm saying that if 2 fact tables only. So for example, we are having the 3 fact tables. Those 3 fact tables are having the relationship with the same dimensional table. That also we can able to call it as a confirmed dimensional table. Only for understanding, I give it as a 2 fact table. So here I can able to say if more than 1 fact table. Now it is clear. If more than one fact table are going to have the relationship with the same dimensional table, such kind of dimensional table, simply we can able to call it as a confirmed dimensional table. Only for understanding, I mentioned it as a 2 fact table, but we can able to call it as a more than 1 table. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. And this in type 2 SCD, surrogate key column has sequence values, you told, right? Sequence values.
Sequence value is going to contain the values like this. For example, first day we are loading 3 records only. For those records, we are going to maintain 1, 2, 3. Next day we are maintaining, for example, next day, second day, we are loading the again 3 more records. For those records, we are giving the values as a 4, 5, 6. After that, we are loading again 3 more records for the day 3. Then we are giving the value as a 7, 8, 9. So like this, what we are going to maintain? We are going to maintain the continuous sequence values on top of your surrogate key column.
Okay.
Sir, how to create the surrogate key, sir? We will be creating surrogate key or?
No, as see, it's a normal column only. So, for example, we are in the table we are having the column called as a x underscore ID column. Okay, and they are saying that this x underscore ID column is a surrogate key column, which is nothing but as part of creation of the table, you are going to give the command called as a create table name xid integer. Normal way we are going to create the table, but if this xid column is acting as what? This is acting as a surrogate key, but for this xid column, we are not getting any data from the source table. You need to populate the data. Coming to batch 19 people, you try to give the answer. If you want to populate the sequence values in the SQL only, what is the function we can able to use? Forgotten. We discuss about the Windows functions. In the Windows function, we discuss about the one of the function. Yep. So by using the row number function. So whenever we are giving the row number, by default, what will happen? By default, it is going to populate the sequence values indirectly. If you want to load the data into the XID column, what is the function we can able to use in the SQL query? You can able to use the row number column. With that, you can able to get the sequence values. Those sequence values we are loading on top of your X underscore ID column. Is it clear?
Sir, using row number Windows column, we will say row number over only we will say no, sir. For a particular column only we will say, right, sir?
Yeah, for XID column only we are populating that value. So in the row number, we are applying the over order by. So in that order by, we are giving some kind of column. If you are giving any column as part of the over, what is the functionality of row number? And it will populate the sequence values. By using the row number function, you are going to populate the sequence values on top of your X underscore ID column.
So surrogate key I will be creating, sir.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm telling, right? So surrogate key is nothing but they are giving one column name as part of your table structure. While creation of the table, you need to provide that column name in your table structure. So don't think that it's a kind of a separate column and someone is going to create a column only. As a data engineer, you are only going to create the surrogate key column as part of creation of the type 2 dimensional table. Other than normal columns, we are going to create the one more column called as a surrogate key. Don't get any kind of confusion. It's a kind of a normal column only. But why we are calling it as a surrogate key specifically? Because in that type 2 dimensional table, to overcome the duplicate records, we are maintaining one extra column. As per the naming convention, just we are are calling it as a surrogate key. Other than that, we can able to say it's a kind of a just a normal column. If you are going to create a table on top of the normal column, in the same way in the table, we are going to create the surrogate key column also. For the surrogate key, they are giving some naming convention. By using that naming convention, you need to create the table by using the create command. After creation of the table, we need to load the data into the surrogate key. How we are going to load the data? With the help of the row number function, you can able to populate the sequence values, and with that you can able to load the data on top of your surrogate key column.
Okay, sir, when I create that table with the surrogate key, that table will have any primary key, sir?
It will contain the primary key. So yesterday I told you, right? So we are going to see the combination of primary keys in the combination of surrogate key and other key. We are going to see the primary key in the combination of two columns. One is the surrogate key and one is the other key column.
Okay, when I define a relationship between the fact and dimension now,
You
for
have to
that,
use the two columns.
okay. So this will avoid my duplication error.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yeah, we need to give any link dependency like link for the surrogate key and primary key, sir.
No, as part of creation of the table, if you want to do the primary key, we can able to do the primary keys like this. Primary key, you can able to apply in the multiple columns. We can give it as a ID1, ID2. Okay, don't think that we can able to give the primary key as a single column. By depending on our requirement, we can give the primary key on the multiple columns also. For example, in your table, X_ID column is a surrogate key, and for example, apply ID column is a one more key column. Then what I will do here, I will give the primary key in the combination of both the columns only. These kind of primary keys we can able to call it as a composite primary keys.
Okay.
If you are creating the primary key on the single column, which we can able to call it as a normal primary key. If you are going to create the primary key in the combination of multiple columns, and such kind of primary key we can able to call it as a composite primary key.
Got it.
Any other questions?
In real time, can we use the star schema or snowflake schema, sir?
In the real time, that depends on the project. And in some projects, we can able to see the star schema. In some projects, we can able to see the snowflake schema.
Okay.
That is by depending on the requirement. But you tell me, as we discussed already, who will decide whether we need to go with the star schema or snowflake schema? Data engineer or data modelers?
Data modeler.
Data modeler will decide. But as a data engineer, you should have knowledge about all the concepts only. But in the real time, your data modeler will decide whether we need to go with the star schema or snowflake schema, or he will decide whether we need to go with the cumulative fact table or snapshot fact table, or he will decide whether we need to go with the type 1 dimensional table or type 2 dimensional table by depending on the client requirements. All these decisions will be taken care by your data modeler and business analyst and data analyst only. But as a data engineer, you need to have some minimal knowledge about all these kind of terminologies. For that reason, we are discussing all these topics. Okay, just we'll move further only. Now see here, all these are nothing but our data warehousing concepts. Now just I want to give some disclosure to the batch 20 people. Batch 20 people, just in last 2-3 minutes, we discussed about create command. We discussed about composite primary key, so primary key, and we discussed about composite primary key, and we discussed about the Windows function, and we discussed about the row number. All these topics we have discussed as part of our batch 20, but don't get any kind of confusion, Sandy, because we are going to cover these topics as part of our coming classes in our database concepts. Here, please try to focus on only data warehousing concepts. By seeing all these questions or by seeing all this kind of discussion, don't get any kind of confusion. We are going to cover all these topics as part of our coming sessions. Okay, now just will quickly recap what are the topics we covered in the data warehousing concepts, and you people try to help me from the day one onwards on top of data warehousing concepts. What topics we covered? Which is nothing but in the last 3 days, what topics we covered in the data warehousing concepts?
What is data?
First one, we discussed about data. Perfect. What next?
Information.
We discussed about what is information. After that,
Data.
we discussed about what is data warehouse. After that,
Data warehouse
we
architecture.
discussed about what is our data warehouse architecture. But before that, we discussed one more topic called as a what is OLTP, and we discussed about what is OLAP. Then we discussed about what is difference between OLTP and OLAP. After that, we discussed about data warehousing architecture. Within the data warehousing architecture, we discussed about what is the ODS, what is the staging database, and we discussed about what is data warehouse component, what is the views, and what is the reports at the high level. So in the data warehousing architecture, we discussed about all these things. After that,
Types of data warehouse architecture.
we discussed about different types of data warehousing architectures. What types of data warehousing architectures we are having? Try to recap.
Centralized file.
Centralized data
We are
warehouse.
having centralized data warehousing architecture and we are having the federated data warehousing architecture. What is the difference between the centralized and federated data warehousing architectures?
Data maps.
The relationship.
Yes, we are maintaining only one extra layer called as a data marts only. Within the data marts, again, we discussed about different types of data marts. What are those?
Dependent
Data marts and
independent.
independent data marts. Okay, and after that we discussed about different types of the approaches, which are nothing but top-down approach and bottom-up approach. So top-down approach only we can able to call it as a in-one approach, and bottom-up approach we can able to call it as nothing but Kimball approach. So all these will falling under as part of our data warehousing architecture. What are the different types of the architectures we are having? What is centralized? What is the federated? Then we discussed about what is the data mart. What within the data marts we discussed about what is dependent, what is the independent. Within that we discussed about what is the top-down approach and what is the bottom-up approach. And after that we discussed about at the high level what is the ER modeling. Then we discuss in detail about what is the dimensional modeling. So within the dimensional modeling we discussed about what is fact, what is dimensions. After that we discussed about what is the fact table and what is the dimensional table. Then we discussed about what all are different types of dimensional tables we are having. Then we discussed about what all are different types of fact tables we are having. Okay, so sir, why we are typing all these things? Just for quick recap, Andy. So I know all these are the theoretical topics. By seeing all these theoretical topics, might be you can able to get a lot of confusion, but don't get any kind of confusions, Andy. Please segregate all the topics like this, whatever we discuss from the theoretical topics, not only data warehousing concepts, Andy. In whatever the area, whenever we are discussing about the theoretical concepts, please segregate all the topics like this. Once you can able to segregate the topics like this, Andy, it is very easy to focus on one individual topic. It is very easy to understand what are the different things we covered as part of our classes. For that reason, just I segregated all the concepts like this. With this, you can able to understand what all are the things we covered as part of our data warehousing concepts. Okay. Now, in the same way, just we'll try to understand one more thing here. Tell me, in the data warehousing projects, as a data engineer, what operations we are going to perform? Try to guess it. This also we discussed in the previous classes.
Conversion of data from...
Yeah, the conversion, what we can able to conversion is the correct answer, but we used a word for that.
Extracting.
Yeah, so we are going to perform extraction, transformation,
And
loading. Okay, which is nothing but indirectly as a data engineer, you need to have some basic knowledge about the ETL concepts. And so far we discussed about the data warehousing concepts. In the same way, as a data engineer, you are going to perform the extraction, transformation, and loading operation. For the reason, we need to have some basic knowledge about the ETL concepts. And now you tell me here, what is the definition of data warehouse? Collection of data from different types of data sources, and we are converting the data into organized format for the purpose of doing analysis to take the decision. This whole process we can able to call it as a data warehousing. Now in this whole process, what is the first step? We are going to collect the data from different types of the sources, collection of data, which we can able to call it as a extraction, or we can able to call simply E. After that, what we are doing? We are converting the data, or we are transforming the data. That activity we can able to call it as a transformation. Simple words, we can able to call it as a T. After that, we are performing the loading the data, or we are performing the loading operation. Then we can able to call it as a loading the data or loading, which we can able to call it as a L. So far, so as part of data warehousing projects, as a data engineer, obviously we need to perform the ETL operations, or we can able to call it as a extraction, transformation, and loading operation. And now, as part of these ETL operations, we are going to perform below kind of activities. First one, we are going to perform data cleansing activities, or I can able to call simply data cleansing. Second kind of activity we can able to call it as a data scrubbing. Next we can able to call it as a data merging operation. Next operation we can able to call it as nothing but data aggregation operation. So as part of ETL process or as part of ETL operations, we are going to perform these kind of 4 operations and the data cleansing, data scrubbing, data merging, and data aggregation. Again, if you are going to work in the real-time projects, in the meetings, most of the times we are going to listen this kind of words and in this table we need to perform the cleansing operation. In this table we need to perform the scrubbing operation. In this table we need to perform the merging operation. But if you want to understand all that kind of meeting conversations, you need to understand what is the cleansing, what is the scrubbing, what is the merging, and what is the aggregation. That's the reason we are trying to understand all these concepts in the today's session and we'll go one by one. Data cleansing is nothing but while performing data loading operations into target table from source table, if we are removing any unwanted data, such kind of operation we can call it as data cleansing operation. Indirectly, data cleaning. And what is the meaning of cleaning? Generally, we are removing unwanted things, that we can able to call it as a cleaning. In the same way, here also we are having the terminology called as a data cleansing operation or data cleaning operation. And so what is the meaning of data cleaning? While performing the data loading operations from the source table to target table, if we are removing the any unwanted data, such kind of operation simply we can call it as nothing but data cleansing operation. Now see, for example, just in a simple example, we are having the EMP source table. In this table, we are having 10 records. Out of these 10 records, we are having department ID data for 10, 20, and 30. Now, my requirement is while loading the data into my target table, I want to load data for only employees who all are working in department ID 10 and 20. So what is the requirement? I want to load data from the source table to target table. Now my source table is having the 10 records with the department IDs 10, 20, 30. But while performing the loading operation into my target table, I don't want to load all the records and I want to load data for only particular department ID employees, which are nothing but who is working in the 10 and 20. Now you tell me in this example, what is the unwanted data from the source to target? What is the unwanted data?
30.
Department ID
30.
is equal to 30 is nothing but unwanted data. Indirectly, while loading the data from the source table to target table, you are ignoring the unwanted data by depending on the client requirement. As per the requirement, I want to load data for only 10 and 20. I don't want to load data for 30 records, which is nothing but as per the client requirement. While loading the data from the source table to target table, we are ignoring some records or we are not considering some records. Such kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data cleansing operation. Just we'll see one example here. Okay, if you see this one, so we are having the source table, we are having the target table. Now my requirement is while loading the data from the source table to target table, I want to load data for only employee IDs which are having the not null value. This is one example. For example, this is the one of the requirement. Now this is my source table. My source table is having EID column, ENAME column, salary column, DID column, last name column, and location column. Now from this table, I want to load the data into my target table. While loading the data from the source table to target table, we need to understand the requirement. What is the requirement one? I want to load data from source to target. For which records I want to load? Only the employee ID values which are having the not null values only. Now you tell me, as per the requirement one, in the target table, how many records we need to load? As per the requirement one, forgot about the requirement two, forgot about the requirement three, and just to focus on the only requirement one. As per the requirement one, from the source to target, which records we are loading? Only employee ID 1, 2, 3, because these two are having the null values. But my requirement is I want to load data for only the not null values which are present in the EID column. That's the reason out of 5 records, we are not considering these 2 records. Indirectly, these 2 records we can able to call it as nothing but unwanted records. And as part of loading data from the source table to target table, we are ignoring the unwanted data. Such kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data cleansing operation. Okay. Now in the same way, if you see the second requirement, what is the second requirement? What is the second requirement? I want to load data from source table to target table only for department ID 10 employees. And now you tell me, as per the second requirement, what is the unwanted data in the source table? as per the second requirement.
DID 20 and
20 and
records.
30. Indirectly, these three records we can able to call it as a unwanted records. While loading the data from the source table to target table, I want to load data for only department ID 10 employees. Remaining records we can able to call it as a unwanted data. Indirectly, while loading data from source to target, if you are ignoring the unwanted data as per the requirement, that kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data cleansing operation. In the same way, we can able to add the one more statement here. While loading data from source to target, if you are converting inconsistent data into consistent format. So as part of loading data from source to target, if you are converting inconsistent data into the consistent format, that operation also we can call it as data cleansing operation. Just we'll see the example, and if you see here in the source table, if you see the location column, in the location column we are having the Hyderabad, Chennai, Vizag and Mumbai. Now you tell me, in the location column, all the values are having the consistent data or we are having the any inconsistent data? Any guesses? In the location column, we are having the 5 locations: Hyderabad, Chennai, Vizag and Mumbai and but you tell me here we are having all the consistent values or we are having any inconsistent values? If you see the Hyderabad, we are having the shortcut name or we are having the complete name?
Shortcut name.
We are having shortcut, which is nothing but only 3 letters. But what about Chennai? We are having complete name. What about Vizag? Complete name. Again, what about Mumbai? We are having the shortcut. Now tell me indirectly in the location column, you are having the consistent values in the location column or we are having the inconsistent values?
Inconsistent.
You are having inconsistent values only. Now, for example, my client is given the requirement like this: while loading the data from the source to target, for location column, get the data for only the first 3 letters only. I want to load data into the target table only for first 3 letters. With this requirement in the target table, for location column, what we can do here, we are loading data for HYD, CHE, VIZ, Mumbai. Now you tell me, in this target table as per requirement, we loaded the data, but in this column, you are having the consistent values or we are having the inconsistent values? In the target table
consistent. Now we
are having it as a consistent. Indirectly, what I'm doing here, I am converting consistent values into the inconsistent values into the consistent value by depending on what?
requirement.
Depending on requirement. Okay, if you see here, if you are removing the unwanted records or if you are converting inconsistent data into the consistent format, every operation is depending on the requirement only. But here we are saying, given the statement, data cleansing is nothing but while loading data from source to target, if you are removing any unwanted records as per the requirement, or if you are converting inconsistent data into the consistent format as per the requirement, all these kind of operations simply we can able to call it as a data cleansing operation. Okay, any questions on top of this data cleansing by seeing this whole example? Please ask me here. Is it clear? Okay, if it is clear, now we'll try to understand the one more operation called as a data scrubbing operation. While loading data from source to target, if you are deriving any new columns with the help of existing columns in the source table. So what I'm doing, what I'm telling, while loading data from, again here and here both the places only we are performing the loading operation only. While loading the data from source to target, if you are deriving any new columns with the help of the existing columns in the source table, such kind of operation we can call it as data scrubbing operations. So while loading data from source to target, if you are deriving any new columns with the help of the existing columns in the source table, such kind of operations simply we can able to call it as a data scrubbing operations. Again, we'll see one example. With that, we can get the clear picture. Okay, if you see here, in this example, again, I'm having the source table. We are loading the data into the target table. Now, in the source table, for example, we are having the first name column, EF name, employee first name column. We are having one more column called as a EL name, which is nothing but employee last name column. Now, my client requirement is while loading the data into my target table, he want to get data for E name column. Now, in this E name column, he want to concatenate first name and last name. With that, he want to load the data into the ename column. Now you tell me in this example, do we have any ename column in the source table? Do we have any ename column in the source table?
No.
We don't have any ename column. We are having the E first name column, E last name column. We don't have any ename column and now indirectly what we are doing while loading the data from the source table to target table, we are deriving a new column. What is the new column we are deriving? Ename column. Now for this column, which columns we are using as a source column as per the requirement? I want to concatenate first name column and last name column indirectly from the source table. I will use the first name column. I will use the last name column. By using these two columns, I will derive the new column called as a ename column. Whenever we are doing this kind of operation, that operation only we can able to call it as a data scrubbing operation only. Now in the same way, if you see the second requirement, just observe here. Do we have tax column in the source table? Here we are having EID, first name, salary, department ID, last name, and
No.
location column. We don't have any tax column only. But what is the requirement for the tax column? We need to perform the salary star 0.01. We need to perform the multiplication operation on top of your salary. With that, I want to derive the tax column. Now indirectly what I'm doing? While loading data from source table to target table, we are deriving a new column called as a task column with the help of the source column which is present in the source table. Again, this operation also we can able to call it as a data scrubbing operation. Again, this is also very simple only. While loading data from source to target, if you are deriving any new column in this example, either ename column or task column, we are deriving it as a new column only. If you are deriving any new column, with the help of the source columns in the source table, such kind of operations we can able to call it as a data scrubbing operation. Now you tell me if you have any questions on top of data scrubbing, please ask me here. All these are normal operations only, but for every operation, just we are giving a terminology which we are using in the real-time projects. If you are removing unwanted data, we are calling it as a data cleansing in the real time. If you are adding a new column with the help of the existing column, that operation we are calling it as a data scrubbing as part of our real-time projects. Any questions on the data cleansing or data scrubbing, please ask me. Okay. If no questions, you try to give the answer. Any cases from your side? What is the meaning of data merging? In the name only you can able to see the
data
answer.
cleansing and data merging.
While loading data from source to target tables, if you are merging data between more than one table. If you are merging data between more than one table, such kind of operations we can call it as data merging operation. See, as part of loading data from the source table to target table, if you are merging data between more than one table by depending on the requirement, such kind of operations we can able to call it as a data merging operations. And now you try to give the answer. In the first example, how many source tables we are using? Only one source, and we are loading data into only one target table. Are we doing any merging operation here? You are dealing with a single source table and you are loading the data into the single target table. Here we are not doing any merging operation only. What about the second one? Single source table, single target table. We are not doing any merging operation. But what I'm telling here, while loading data from the source table to target table, if you are merging the data between more than one table, such kind of operations we can able to call it as a data merging operation. Now coming to batch 19 people, you try to give the answer. Batch 19 people. In SQL side, how we can able to perform data merging operations?
By using sets and
joins.
By using
Joins.
sets
Joins.
or joins. Okay. When we need to go for set operators? To merge data vertically. When we need to go for joins? To merge
Horizontal.
horizontal. Okay, so coming to batch 20 people, don't worry, just try to understand the concept here. While we are discussing about database concepts, I will explain about the what is the set operator, what is about the joins, but just I'm giving the example. So as part of data merging, we are going to merging the data between the multiple tables by depending on the requirement. Such kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data merging operation. Okay, in the same way, data aggregation is nothing but while loading data from source to target, if we are converting detailed data into summarized format, that kind of operation we can call it as data aggregation operation. So what I'm telling here, while loading the data from the source to target, if we are converting detailed data into the summarized format, such kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data aggregation operation, or we can able to call it as a data aggregate operation. For example, in the table we are having the salary column. In this salary column we are having values like this: 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 and 5,000. Now in the target table we are loading the value called as a total salary. Now what is the total salary here? We need to sum up all these values and we are getting output is, for example, 50,000. Now you tell me this data what we can able to call, this data what we can able to call. This data what we can able to call, for every employee ID we are given the individual salary values. This data we can able to call it as a detailed data. But what about this one? I am giving the total salary, which is nothing but I am performing the summing operation of all these values. With that, I am giving the single record. That kind of operation we can able to call it as a summary data, or we can able to call it as a aggregate data. And now indirectly, as per the requirement, while loading the data from the source table to target table, if you are converting detailed data into the summarized format, such kind of operation only simply we can able to call it as a data aggregation operations. Only now you tell me where we are going to perform this data cleansing, scrubbing, merging and data aggregations. When we are doing all these operations as part of our ETL operations, and whenever we are going to perform the ETL operations, or whenever we are going to work in the ETL kind of work, we are going to listen the words called as a cleansing, scrubbing, merging and aggregation. What is the meaning of cleansing? Removing the unwanted data, or we can able to call it as converting inconsistent data into consistent format. Such kind of operations we can able to call it as a data cleansing. What is the scrubbing? If you are deriving any new columns with the help of the existing columns, that operation we can able to call it as a data scrubbing. What about data merging? If you are loading the data from different tables to the single table by performing the merging operation either vertically or horizontally as per the requirement, that operation we can able to call it as a data merging operation. Final one, data aggregation. While loading data from source to target, if you are converting detailed data into the summarized format, such kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data aggregation operation. And this is the way we need to understand what all are the different operations we are going to perform as part of our ETL process. Okay, any questions on top of all these things? Again, please ask me here.
Sir,
Any
can you
questions?
repeat on the
Yeah.
scrubbing one more example?
Yeah. Less scrubbing, general meaning what is, sir?
That is
Scrubbing.
the general meaning only. So whenever we are going to derive the any new columns with the help of the existing columns only, that kind of operation we can able to call it as a data scrubbing. Here I already given the two examples. If you see here,
Example
coming to
and
here, we are deriving the new column called as a e-name by using which columns? First name and last name, which is nothing but as per the requirement. Whenever, so for example, just will take the simple example. Here I'm having the salary column. Now in my target table, I want to load data for DID and total salary. For every department, I want to load data for total salary. That is the requirement. Now tell me, in the source table, do we have any column called as a total salary? No. But as per the requirement, by using the existing column called as a salary column, I am going to derive the data for new column called as a total salary column. Whenever we are working on such kind of requirement, that kind of operation simply we can able to call it as a data scrubbing operation. Is it clear?
Yeah, clear.
Any other questions still?
But in aggregation also, data aggregation also, we do the same, right?
Yeah, we do the same operation. If you see in the data aggregation also, we are going to derive the some new column only. But in this aggregation, what activity we are doing here? We are loading the same detailed data as it is into the target table, or we are converting detailed data into the summarized format. We are converting detailed data into summarized format. Indirectly, in this example, we can able to say we are performing data aggregation and also we are performing data scrubbing operation. Now you tell me, in the real-time projects, if you are loading the data from the one table to other table, are we going to perform only one operation, or we are going to perform the combination of all these four operations also in the real-time projects?
Combination of.
Can I able to say here? Just I will give a note. Don't think we are going to perform single operations only in real-time projects. While loading data from source to target as per the requirement, we can able to perform combination of all above operations together. Okay, in this example only, we are converting detailed data into summarizer format. At the same time, in the source, we don't have any column called as a total salary column. We are deriving it as a new column into my target table. That operation we are calling it as a scrubbing. When we are converting detailed data into summarizer format, that operation we can able to call it as a aggregation. Indirectly, as part of loading data from source to target, we are performing the aggregation activity. At the same time, we are performing the scrubbing activity. As part of explanation, I explained about the individual concepts and it, but if you are going to work in the real-time project while loading data from source table to target table, there is the possibility to perform operations for all these things together by depending on the requirements. Okay. Any other questions, Steve?
And we perform this all operations from the staging to semantic zone, and this is called transformations.
Yes, correct. Staging to our data warehouse in our data warehousing architecture. Now, whomever having knowledge on the BigQuery, for them I can able to say from CZ to SZ, all these kind of transformations we are going to perform.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if no questions, that's all for today, Andy. So coming to 11:45, we don't have session. I'm having the office meeting, Andy. So we are not having the session for 11:45. So 2:30, I'm planning to take the session. Because of any reason, if I'm going to cancel the session, I will update you by 1:30. Sorry. So at present, I don't have any meetings at 2:30, Andy. But if suddenly if any meeting is scheduled, I will cancel the 2:30 session. But if there is any such kind of cancellation, I will update you by 1:30. But if there is no meeting in my office, I will take the class at 2:30. In that 2:30 class, again we are going to discuss about the Python concepts. If I'm going to take the class at 2:30, I will take it for again batch 19 and batch 20. Please verify your Telegram group at 1:30 or 1:40, Andy. So by that time, I will give the update to you. Accordingly, I will take the class at 2:30. This is one thing. Another thing is for batch 19 people, this weekend, I am going to conduct again mock interviews. Yeah, batch 20 people, if you want, you can able to drop the meeting, Andy. So our class is completed. If you want, you can able to drop. Batch 19 people, please wait for a few minutes, Andy, just for 2-3 minutes. This weekend, I'm going to conduct again mock interviews. Already last time I conducted. This is the one more mock interview which I'm going to conduct. So please give your names to admin team. So please give your names to the admin team and specify, or this time I'm conducting it as only offline. Okay, so online people, please try to come to the offline entry. So please attend the mock interviews. Last time we given the option for online interviews, but some of the people given the online names, but when we admin team called, they didn't respond and they didn't join the online meetings, online interviews only. For that reason, this time I am planning to conduct only offline mock interviews. If any online people are there, please come and attend in the offline. So this weekend
we are not in Hyderabad, sir. So we'll definitely, if you are giving the name, definitely we'll attend that. If
no, what is your last time you given the name?
Yeah, I attended that, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
No, actually, so last time I actually around 9 people given the online, but out of 9, only 2-3 people attended from the online. Then for me it's not a big deal. So if I'm connecting it as an online or offline, both are nothing but same only for me. I need to put the same kind of efforts. I will take the interviews in the same way. But some people are misutilizing because of given the online option. Don't misutilize only. If one person is going to misutilize, what will happen? Unnecessarily, other people are going to face the problem. Now, for example, now I'm going to say only I will take the offline. Now, some people are really attending the online mock interviews. Those people will face the issues because of the other people. If you are given the online, please attend the online without missing. If you are given the offline, please attend the offline, because last time around 19 people given the names, but out of 19 people, only 8 people are attended. Okay, and some people given the name for offline. Suddenly, when we are calling, people are saying that we will attend in the online. So see here, we also need to plan everything, right? So I am also need to plan at what time I need to take the offline interviews, at what time I need to take the online interviews only. Please don't change your decisions on the spot only. When admin team is calling, don't give the answer, I won't attend the offline, I will attend the online. Don't give such kind of things. If you are planning for offline, if you are given the name for offline, please come and attend offline interview. If you are giving it as an online, please don't misutilize the options only. If you are going to misutilize options, what will happen? Other people will impact because of you only. For that reason, if you are given the name for online, please attend the online mock interview. If you are given the name for offline, please attend the offline mock interviews. And if you observe here, daily around 60 to 70 people are attending the classes. Out of these 60 to 70 people, last time only 19 people given the names. Out of 19 people, only 8 people are attended. So out of 170, only 8 people are attended. So I can able to say 60 people not at all attending. So I don't know what is the problem for them, Monday. If you are not preparing, please prepare well as soon as possible, because in next 10 days or 12 days we are going to complete the classes Sunday. So please prepare well, and to assess yourself how much you understood and how you need to face the interviews. For that reason only we are going to conduct the mock interviews Sunday. Please try to utilize the mock interviews. In this mock interviews you can able to assess yourself. With that you can able to get the confidence also to attend the interviews in the real time. So actually if you see our Telegram group, multiple people getting the jobs, and every day multiple people are attending the interviews also. We are having the good calls in the market, and multiple people are attending the interviews from our institute only, and multiple people are also getting the jobs also. And if you want to get the jobs and if you want to face the interviews, you should have the confidence. To get that confidence, please try to attend the mock interviews. With the mock interviews, automatically you can able to get the very good confidence. Okay, and in this mock interviews we are going to cover the topics related to all the topics whatever we completed so far. That might be data prog, or that might be airflow, or that might be SQL concepts, or that might be database concepts or Linux concepts, whatever it is only, whatever the topics we completed so far, I am going to take the mock interviews for all these topics only. Please give your names to admin team. Okay, and last time some people are expecting admin team will come to you and they will collect the names. Okay, so don't think like this. Okay, so they will not reach out to you, Andy. So please, you need to reach out to the admin team and please provide your names, Andy. So with that, admin team will capture all your details. With that, on Saturday and Sunday, I can able to take the mock interview study. So please plan accordingly. So we are going to have the online plus offline interviews. By considering the people request, I will take both. When you are given the name, please specify you want to attend for online interviews, or you want to go for offline. With that, I will take the mock interviews as part of this weekend. What are the topics? Whatever the topics we covered so far, including our Cloud SQL, Postgres, everything, and we are going to consider all those topics. For all those topics, I am going to take the mock interviews. Try to utilize it properly. With that, you can assess yourself how much you understood as part of the classes. At the same time, as part of mock interviews, I will share the feedback also, Andy. So with that feedback, you can able to improvise the areas wherever you are lagging. Okay. Any questions on this mock interview process? Any concerns or any questions on this mock interview process?
No, sir, please.
It's clear, right? Okay. If it is clear, so please reach out to the admin team and please provide your names, Andy. With that, and I will give the deadline also. Please try to provide the names by tomorrow 12 p.m. So because today online classes, I can understand some people cannot able to reach out to the offline people. If you want, you can call them and you can give your name certainly. Mostly for tomorrow weather is clear, so we'll take the offline classes also. If you want tomorrow, you can come to offline and you can give your name to admin team. You can give your name to Rohit or Manisha or Divya. All these three are the admin people, and you can give the name to Rohit or Manisha or Divya. So they will capture your names, and with that I can able to conduct the mock interviews. Hope process is clear. Okay, Andy, so then we'll meet you on the 2:30. So I will give update. I will give update you by 1:30. So accordingly, we'll take the class on 2:30.
ETL concepts are completed, sir, or tomorrow also we'll say?
No. Our data warehouse concepts and ETL concepts are completed. Tomorrow we'll start discussing about the new topic.
Okay, sir. So here, sir, in the cloud side, they are calling as a ELT, sir, or ETL, both will be same.
Concept
I understand concept is same, but the calling.
As part of calling. So in some projects we are calling it as a ETL, in some projects we are calling it as a ELT. What is the meaning of ELT? First we are extracting, then we are loading. After loading, we are applying the transformation. That we can call it as a ELT. What is the meaning of ETL? First we are extracting, then we are applying the transformation, then we are performing the loading operation. That is the ETL. So if you understand the ETL concepts and data warehousing concepts, and either it is a ETL or ELT, in everywhere we are going to see the similar kind of operations only.
Okay. So as a data engineer, just like we'll use as a ETL or ELT, that way
that depends on it. In most of the projects we are going to perform the ELT operations, but in some of the projects we are going to see the ETL operations also.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. So Saturday, Sunday, we have classes also, sir?
Yeah, we are having the classes and also we are having the mock interviews.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.